I'm Sophie Weiner.
I'm Heidi Vanderlee, and we're both members of the feminist collective Permanent Wave.
Permanent Wave is a collective of women activists, artists, and just people who are interested in feminism and, promoting awesome women in the world.
We say collective specifically because we're not an official nonprofit. We're not in any sort of business exactly.
A lot of what we do are concerts, because we really, feel strongly that women need a bigger place in the music industry, and we want to support the amazing women artists that are out there everywhere.
We just got kind of tired of going to see dude bands.
And shows where everyone in the audience are all dudes.
Yeah,
all
dudes
the time.
and beards.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with dudes and beards.
Yeah, and we should say that Permanent Wave also totally supports people of all genders that challenge the norm. It can be anything. That's the great thing about Permanent Wave, and I think that's what Heidi was sort of getting at when she said that we're not a non-profit, we're not any kind of organization. We can be whatever people want us to be. So people have used us to, we have a zine, we have film screenings, we have a book project, we have a record comp that we did for polystyrene. We've done so many different kinds of things.
We also staged a protest when the two cops that were acquitted of rape, Marina and Mata, we have a listserv, which is where a lot of our thoughts and discussions happen, and the listserv just got really mad. Everyone just got furious all at once. And within 48 hours, we organized a protest where we had speakers and we got a sound permit. The New York Civil Liberties Union helped us with that.
There were hundreds of people.
Yeah, it was insane.
It was awesome.
So many people were angry about this thing, and it just all culminated in this big protest. And even though what we wanted to happen with that case didn't happen, it felt good to know that all of us just throwing our resources together in 48 hours could make this big public outcry happen. And that was one of the first times I was like, wow, this is a really powerful community. We usually donate a part of the proceeds to a certain organization. We partnered with organizations like Hollaback, Sister Somalia, Planned Parenthood was one of our first ones, the Center Against Domestic Violence, and we would just throw benefits for them. And benefits tend to get more people out, so the bands that played there would get awesome exposure. I see bills popping up now all the time that are clearly bands that met from doing our shows, which is so cool.
Our listserv is a good example of that, just because there's always really interesting discussion going on there that is very lively and very active, and it ranges from anything. Today we were discussing this list in Spin magazine of the top 100 guitarists of all time, and there were 10 women on the list, and none of them were in the top 25, and so of course everyone got into this huge long discussion about that. But it's led to a lot of interesting things, because people have very different ideas about what it means to be a feminist and what you're supposed to believe and stuff if you're a feminist. There's another show that we want to do that's going to be sort of awareness raising thing for birth control and
basically the general war on reproductive rights, because that's something that I think feminists of every leaning can get behind that. The fact that women are being treated as if they can't make decisions about their own bodies by the government and old fat white men.
Yeah, and we're basically trying to do it around the time of the election to draw attention to it, because that's an issue that I think affects every woman.
New York City is where where this sort of all germinated, and it was really the result of our friend Amy Klein, who decided one day, she was like, I don't feel like I'm part of a feminist community. I really want to be part of one. Who else wants to start this feminist powerhouse community with me? And basically had a meeting at her house that I didn't get to go to, but started a listserv, and that's how everything got together. Just more people asked to be added, and people added friends that they thought would be into it, and then it just kind of grew really organically from there. And while we're probably the branch that has gotten the most exposure so far, there are really awesome active branches going on in Philadelphia now, Boston, San Francisco Bay Area.
We didn't know how to do any of the stuff that we're doing before we started doing this. None of us really had booked shows. Some of us had been in bands, but not all of us by any means. a lot of us hadn't written anything, but we just decide to do things and then do them. And that's, I think, one of the really amazing, like, liberating things about being in Permanent Wave is if you want to, you know, write a book about something and you need collaborators, you can just email the listserv and probably a few people will be like, oh, well, I have an experience doing this. I have experience helping with that. And then all of a sudden you have this support network that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Women and girls are so used to asking for permission to do things. And that's one thing that I mean, I even find myself, like, sort of waiting and being like, should I do this? And then I'm like, who am I asking? Like, I don't know. And girls have said, like, oh, well, what do I have to do to be part of Permanent Wave? And I'm like, join. Talk to us. Like, that's really all you have to do.
Yeah.
What do I have to do if I want to book a Permanent Wave show? I'm like, all right, well, here's some stuff to get you started, but just, like, do it. Like, how do I start a Permanent Wave branch in my city? Do it.
Just have a meeting.
That's our answer to, like, pretty much everything. We're just like, just do it. Just do, like, you know, take action. It's the most important thing.